Welcome back! We're diving even deeper into tonecraft.
Yeah, I'm excited to really get into the nitty-gritty.
Me too.
Yeah.
Last time, we talked a lot about the physics of sound and how all the different parts of your guitar work together, right? Well, now we're going to look at how your technique can shape your tone.
Okay.
Flowers really stresses this. It's not just about the gear.
Yeah, he calls it expressive dynamics.
Exactly. It's like how you play, how you interact with the instrument.
Right, like adding your own personal touch to each note.
That's a great way to put it. He actually compares it to like a chef adding just the right amount of spice to a dish. You can have all the best ingredients, but if you don't know how to use them, the dish is going to fall flat.
That's a great analogy.
Right.
Yeah. So how do we become master chefs of tone? What are some of those key ingredients that we should be paying attention to?
Well, one of the most fundamental elements is your attack.
Attack, okay.
Yeah, like how aggressively you're picking or strumming the strings. That has a huge impact on the tone.
Right, okay.
Like a lighter touch is going to give you a smooth, mellow sound. But if you really dig in, that creates a more aggressive, powerful tone.
Right. I can definitely hear that. Like when I'm playing, like a gentle ballad, I use a lighter touch, kind of create a soft, dreamy atmosphere.
Yeah.
But if I'm, rocking out, I'm really digging in to, get that raw energy.
Exactly. And it's not just about how hard you hit the strings.
Oh.
Flowers talks about the angle of your pick attack, too.
Oh, wow. Okay.
A steeper angle will give you a brighter, more percussive sound, while a shallower angle is going to produce a warmer, rounder tone.
That's interesting. I never really thought about the angle of my pick attack before.
It can make a big difference.
I'm going to have to experiment with that.
You should. And then there's finger picking. Using your fingers instead of a pick.
Yeah.
That opens up a whole new world of sounds and textures.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I love the sound of finger picking. So delicate, intricate.
It's perfect for, folk music or even classical guitar pieces.
Yeah.
Flowers says that finger picking gives you more control over the individual strings. You can create complex harmonies and melodies.
So it's like having an orchestra at your fingertips.
Exactly. And speaking of control, we've got to talk about finger placement.
Okay.
Where you put your fingers on the fretboard,
Yeah, you mean closer to the fret for a brighter sound and then further away for a warmer sound.
That's it. Closer to the fret gives you a clean, precise tone, but further away creates a rounder, mellower sound.
I can definitely hear the difference.
Right?
Yeah.
Those little variations add so much character and depth to the notes.
They really do.
Flowers encourages guitarists to experiment with different finger placements. Find those sweet spots on their guitars where the notes really sing.
I love that. Each guitar has its own personality, and you have to discover its secrets.
It really does. Okay, so now that we've got attack and finger placement down, let's level up. Let's talk about vibrato, bends, and slides.
Yes. These techniques, they can add so much expression.
It's like adding punctuation to your playing, Vibrato gives the note a heartbeat, as Flowers says.
I love vibrato. Just adding that shimmer and movement to the notes.
It's that subtle wavering in pitch,
Yeah.
Adds so much warmth and expression.
Right. And then you have bends, which are just pure drama and excitement.
Oh, yeah. Bends can make a note soar or cry, depending on how you use them.
Right. And slides are you're adding a smooth gliding motion to the music.
Exactly. They can sound haunting, ethereal. Or you can get a raw bluesy wail with slides.
It's amazing how much emotion you can convey with these techniques. It's like telling a story with your guitar.
It really is. Flower says these techniques are key to developing your unique voice as a player.
So it's not just about playing the right notes.
No.
It's about, how you play them, with feeling, with intention.
Exactly. And that brings us to another crucial point that Flowers makes.
Okay.
We need to talk about the importance of starting clean.
Clean, okay.
Yeah, before we get all fancy with effects and distortion, we need to understand the natural sound of our guitars.
Oh, okay. So, before you even touch a pedal.
Yep.
You need to know what your guitar sounds like on its own.
Exactly. Because if you rely too much on pedals and effects, you can end up masking the true character of your instrument. It's like trying to judge a singer's voice when they're using auto-tune.
Right.
You need to hear them raw and unfiltered. That's when you can truly appreciate their talent.
That's a great analogy. So is he saying we should, ditch the amp, play unplugged for a while?
He actually does suggest that. Just spend some time playing unplugged to connect with the natural resonance and dynamics of your guitar.
Yeah.
Focus on your touch, your dynamics, the pure sound of the strings vibrating against the wood.
Okay, I could see the value in that. Stripping away all the distractions, getting back to like the heart of the music.
Exactly. And once you have that strong foundation of a clean tone, you can start experimenting with effects in a more meaningful way.
Okay, so it's not that effects are bad. It's just that they should enhance your sound, not like define it.
Exactly. They're like tools for adding color and texture and dimension to your tone, but you always start with that solid understanding of your guitar's natural voice.
That makes a lot of sense.
Ah,
Kind of like building a house. You start with a strong foundation and then add the decorative elements later.
perfect analogy. And speaking of decorative elements, we've got to talk about one of the most fun parts of tone crafting experimentation.
All right, now we're talking. Experimentation is my favorite.
Flowers is all about breaking free from those conventional setups, really explore those sonic possibilities of your gear.
So we're not following the rule book anymore.
Not necessarily. He acknowledges that there are like those tried and true approaches to guitar tone,
Right.
but he encourages you to push the boundaries,
Okay.
see what happens when you break those rules.
So like using a distortion pedal with an acoustic guitar.
Exactly. Or like running your guitar through a bass amp or even a keyboard synthesizer.
Whoa. Those are some wild ideas.
That's what makes it so fun. Flowers wants you to embrace those happy accidents.
Right, right. It's not about always knowing exactly what you're doing. Sometimes the coolest sounds come from just messing around, seeing what happens.
Precisely. He encourages a playful, curious approach to tone crafting, like view your guitar as a laboratory for sonic exploration.
I love that. He's giving us permission to be creative and not be afraid to make mistakes.
And speaking of mistakes, Flowers has a really interesting perspective on failure.
Okay.
He sees it as an essential part of the learning process.
So it's not about avoiding mistakes. It's about learning from them.
Exactly. Every time you make a mistake, you're gaining information, right?
Oh, okay. So it's like those mistakes are actually guiding you toward your own unique sound.
You got it. He encourages you to embrace those moments of failure as opportunities for growth, for discovery.
That's a really empowering way to look at it. It takes the pressure off of having to be perfect all the time.
It does. It allows you to approach your playing with freedom, with curiosity.
This is making me want to go home and just experiment with my guitar for hours. But before I do, I have one more question. We've talked a lot about like the technical aspects of tone crafting, but what about like the emotional side? How does that fit in?
That's a great question, and it's something that Flowers addresses throughout the book. He argues that your tone is like an extension of yourself. It reflects your emotions, your personality, your unique musical voice.
So it's not just about hitting the right notes, it's about playing them with like feeling.
With intention.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He encourages you to connect with the music on a deeper level. Let your emotions guide your fingers. Express yourself authentically through your tone.
That's a beautiful thought. Like, your guitar can be a voice for your soul.
I love that.
Yeah.
And he emphasizes that, finding your unique voice is an ongoing journey. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. Experimentation, exploration, self-discovery.
Right. It's a journey. And we can all relate to that, regardless of our skill level.
Yeah, we're all on that journey, trying to find our own way to express ourselves through music.
And Tonecraft offers a roadmap for that journey, provides guidance, inspiration, encouragement along the way. Speaking of journeys, let's talk about how Dwayne Flowers connects all these concepts to some of the greatest guitarists of all time.
You mean the Monsters of Tone section?
Yes.
Oh, I've been dying to get to that.
It's such a cool part of the book. He picks 10 guitarists, masters of tone, and breaks down what makes their sound so unique.
I can't wait to hear his insights. Does he talk about specific players and like what gear they used?
Absolutely. He dives into the setups and techniques of legends like Jimi Hendrix, Duane Allman, Stevie Ray Vaughan, just to name a few.
Wow. So we get like a glimpse into their sonic toolboxes?
Exactly. He analyzes their gear choices, their playing styles, even their personalities, to understand what shaped their sound.
That's fascinating. I'm always curious about the gear my favorite players use.
But he goes beyond just listing equipment.
Oh, okay.
He delves into the why behind their choices.
So it's not about just copying their gear. It's about understanding the principles behind their sounds.
Precisely. He emphasizes that each of these monsters of tone develop their own unique voice over years of experimenting and refining their craft. Learn from them, but ultimately find your own path.
That's inspiring. It's like he's saying that anyone can develop a great tone if they're willing to put in the time and effort.
And that's what I love about this book. It's about celebrating the journey of becoming a better guitarist. It's not about reaching some destination. It's about the process, learning, growing, discovering your own unique voice.
And speaking of discovering your own voice, Flowers has a whole chapter on the importance of regular guitar maintenance.
Yeah. Might not sound as glamorous as effects pedals, but it's crucial.
Right, so we're talking about cleaning, string changes, tightening screws, all that good stuff.
That's the basics, yep. But it goes beyond that. He talks about things like adjusting the action, setting the intonation, even tweaking the truss rod.
Okay, those sound a little more technical.
Yeah.
Is that something we can do ourselves, or should we just take our guitars to a professional?
Flowers actually gives step-by-step instructions for all of that stuff. He encourages you to get comfortable working on your guitar yourself.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Learn how to make those adjustments.
I've always been a bit intimidated by that.
I get it, but he breaks it down and makes it seem a lot less daunting.
Okay, good.
And he stresses that regular maintenance doesn't just improve your tone, it also extends the life of your guitar.
So it's an investment.
Exactly. Taking care of your guitar is a sign of respect, for the instrument, for the music.
Love that. It's like our guitars are more than just tools. They're partners in our musical journey.
I agree. And speaking of partners, Flowers has a really interesting chapter on recording.
Oh, okay, yeah. Recording can be a bit intimidating.
I know what you mean.
Like it's putting your music under a microscope.
It can feel that way, but Flowers says it's a super valuable tool for growth. It's like holding a mirror up to your playing,
Right.
So you can hear yourself objectively.
So it's about like stepping outside of yourself, listening to your music as if you were in the audience.
Exactly. And what's interesting is that what you hear in the room when you're playing isn't always what's captured on the recording.
Right, right.
The acoustics of the room, where you place the microphones, even just your own perception of the sound can all affect the final product.
Right, yeah. There have been times when I thought I was playing something amazing, and then I listened back to the recording and was like, uh-oh.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
But that's where you learn. He encourages you to record yourself regularly and really analyze those playbacks. Find those areas you can improve.
So it's not just about listening for mistakes. It's about paying attention to your tone, your dynamics, all of that.
All of it. He also talks about how important it is to adjust your playing, adjust your equipment based on what you hear in those recordings.
So it's like a feedback loop. You record, you listen, you adjust, and you do it all over again.
Yep. He says this process is super rewarding. You can track your progress, identify your strengths and weaknesses, and ultimately just become a better musician.
I love that. It's all about continuous improvement.
Exactly. And you know what else is all about the journey?
What's that?
Flowers ends the book talking about learning from the legends.
The monsters of tone.
Yes. He encourages us to study the setups and techniques of these masters as a starting point for our own exploration.
Okay.
Guys like Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page.
Wow. The greats.
Yeah.
But he doesn't just want us to copy them, right?
No. He talks about the difference between copying and understanding.
Okay, yeah.
You don't have to sound exactly like someone else. It's about understanding the principles behind those iconic sounds and then applying them to your own playing.
Right, so learn from their choices, not just like mimic their licks and riffs.
Exactly. He gives these fascinating examples of how specific gear choices like string gauge, amplifiers, they all contributed to those legendary sounds.
It's like getting a peek behind the curtain, seeing how the magic happens.
That's a great way to put it. And that's really just a taste of what Tonecraft has to offer. We've covered a lot, but there's so much more to explore.
Yeah, I'm ready to dive even deeper.
Yeah.
Especially into those monsters of tone.
Well, we'll definitely do that next time. We'll talk about some of the more philosophical stuff in the book, too, like embracing the journey and finding your own path within this incredible world of guitar tone.
I'm excited for that. Okay, so we're back, ready for the final part of our Tonecraft deep dive.
Let's do it.
Awesome. So, we've talked about all the different elements of tone, the physics, the gear, the technique. But I've been looking forward to the Monsters of Tone appendix, where Flowers breaks down the sounds of some of the greatest guitarists of all time.
It's like a masterclass in tone from the greats.
It is.
And what's cool is Flowers goes beyond just like praising their skills.
Yeah.
He dissects their choices, their gear, their personalities to understand what shaped their unique sound.
So it's not just hero worship. It's like we can actually learn from these guys.
Exactly. It's like he's giving us a backstage pass to their sonic laboratories.
I love that. Okay,
Yeah.
so who are some of the monsters of tone that he covers?
Oh man, there are so many. He talks about Jimi Hendrix, how he achieved that controlled chaos sound.
Right.
Duane Allman, his slide playing Flowers, describes it as like a deep river.
Oh,
Peter
wow.
Green, his tone was like this haunting mist over the moor.
Those are amazing
Yeah.
descriptions. So poetic.
Right. He
Yeah.
really captures the essence of their sound.
But what I find really interesting is that all these guitarists are masters,
Yeah.
but their sounds were so different.
That's the point. It shows that there's no one right way to do this whole tone thing.
Right.
It's about finding what works for you, your instrument, your music.
Right. Okay. So then, give me some examples. Like, who are some of the guitarists and, how does he describe their sound?
Okay, so we've got Eric Clapton. Flowers says his tone is like polished steel. It's sharp, precise, powerful.
Okay.
Then you have Jerry Garcia,
Oh, yeah.
who's completely different. Flowers describes Garcia's sound as a paradox, like laid back and intricate at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Casual as a California sunset, but as complex as a quantum equation.
That is brilliant. It really captures that mix of effortlessness and complexity.
Right.
And,
And Flowers talks about how Garcia saw his guitar as a conduit, like an extension of his spirit. You can really hear that in his tone.
yeah, you can hear that freedom, that exploration, but there's this underlying complexity that keeps drawing you in.
Totally. And what's interesting is Garcia, he often used a pretty simple setup, clean, bright sound with subtle effects.
Mm,
But within that simplicity, there were layers of harmonic depth, proof that you don't need a mountain of gear to create a great tone.
right. It's a good reminder for any guitarist.
Yeah.
Focus on those fundamentals and let your personality and musicality shine through.
Exactly. But it's also important to remember, these monsters of tone, they didn't achieve those sounds overnight.
Right.
It took years of experimentation, dedication.
So this whole unleashing your guitar's true voice thing is an ongoing journey.
It is. Tone is a living, breathing thing that evolves alongside your playing. Flowers encourages us to keep exploring, stay curious, never be afraid to try new things.
That's what I love about music. It's all about discovery. And, that's really what I've taken away from Tonecraft. It's not
Yeah.
just a technical manual.
Yeah.
It's like an invitation to find your own sound, your own voice.
He's given us the tools, a framework for understanding how it all works.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's up to us to chart our own course.
So to everyone listening, go experiment, push those boundaries, break some rules, and most importantly, have fun. Who knows? Maybe one day you'll be inspiring future guitarists with your own sonic fingerprint.
That's the dream. And remember, the journey is just as important as the destination.
It really is.
Enjoy the process of learning and growing and discovering your own voice.
Absolutely. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into Tonecraft, unleashing your guitar's true voice. We hope you enjoyed this exploration and that it's inspired you to pick up your guitar and create